All right, everybody, thanks for coming. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. All right, all right. Changes to the agenda. Any changes from council? Staff, no changes? All right, good. We have a presentation. We have Carrie Reed here. She is the lead designer, how about that for a title, for the boardwalk concept that we developed. Finally wrapped it up, so Carrie.
Yes, thanks for having me. So I think, Mike, are you on board to change the slides? Sorry. Thanks. All right. Yes, as Mark mentioned, I'm Carrie Reed with Land Design. I'm a director and landscape architect based out of Orlando. So we were really excited to be selected for this project. I'm going to go through the process. I'll try to keep this fairly short, and then obviously feel free to interrupt, ask questions, comments. It's pretty informal. If you want to go to the next slide. Next. One more.
Introduction.
All right, so the project study area. When we initially started, we were looking more at the streetscape improvements, pedestrian boardwalk improvements, really along Wavecrest. But as we started looking at it, we also started looking at Nance Park itself, so that kind of got included into our design scope. If you want to keep going. Just looking at some of the historical images, it was really interesting when we first met with Michael and Mark, just going through all the history of this area and really how vibrant, pedestrian friendly. So we took a lot of these images as inspiration as we move forward with the design, just looking at the character, again, seeing a lot more people than cars, having wide boardwalks and kind of open spaces. If you want to keep going. So the first thing we did is really look at existing conditions, and I'll go through kind of the project schedule that we went through and kind of when we got kicked off, but I think some of the things that we really observed and just looking at existing conditions are, one, there's some really great boardwalk segments at the park, right at Fifth Avenue, but then it kind of, as you move south, it becomes kind of a sea of asphalt. So I think that was one of the goals of this project, was how do we have that pedestrian connectivity extend even further south? If you want to keep going. And then again at Nance Park, again, some really great features. Obviously the playground that you all have done recently, which is great. We want to keep that intact. But obviously looking at just some maybe underutilized portions of the park, as well as the parking, which takes up a pretty large area right now. If you want to keep going. One more. So this is a summary of our design process. We kicked off in May of last year, which seems crazy that it's been that long ago. It doesn't seem that long ago, but it's gone by quickly. So we had our initial site visit and kickoff. From there, we had an initial workshop and visioning session at the end of August where we came here. We had, I'll go through some of the results of that workshop. Mid-October, we had initial concepts. Mid-December, we presented to the public the final preferred design, and then we kind of wrapped up our final report and some of the perspective images that we'll look at today. So we're here today to present that, kind of the process that we went through, and kind of summarize our design.
I will add, the first meeting, we met with a lot of people, right? We met with staff, then we had an afternoon meeting, Sea Turtle Preservation Society was here, Sustainability Committee was here, a few other, I invited Al, from Long Dogger, since he's such a, I guess, a pillar in the community. I thought his input would be good. So it wasn't just
Yeah,
us.
it was basically like an all-day. I think in the morning, we had the site visit with city staff, Public Works,
Yeah.
fire department. Yeah, like you said, later in the day, we had stakeholder groups, so different stakeholders that were interested in the project. And then it was in the evening that we had the public meeting. So yeah,
Right.
it was kind of like a whole day long
It was.
input session. So this is just a quick snapshot of some of, again, I think we had great turnout. I don't remember the exact number of people, but I want to say 40 plus-ish, maybe a little bit more. We had some different boards and engagement activities that talked about the different features that people wanted to see as part of the project. If you'll go to the next slide. This talks about some of the outcomes. So when we asked people, what would you like to see and what kind of amenities do you want to see here? The top three were shade, lighting, and accessibility. And then another question that we asked in terms of just looking at like the character and some of the adjectives, what we're trying to accomplish with the design. The top ones were nature and landscape, walkable, shade, and welcoming. So I think there's a lot of overlap of these concepts, shade, obviously, accessibility and walkable. We heard a lot about nature and landscape, wanting to have that kind of beach or dune vegetation landscape along the corridor, and really make it a little more welcoming and less of a harsh environment. If you want to keep going. So I'll skip over this piece for now, and maybe we'll circle back around at the end. But after we went through all the concepts, we did come back later in December to kind of show what we had done, make sure that we were on the right track. I think we got a lot of really great positive feedback from that. So it really kind of, I think, confirmed the direction we were going. Next. Keep going. We'll kind of flip through these a little bit quickly. We did some just initial concepts and bubble diagrams, looking at some of the different features and amenities. And I'll kind of go through these quickly and then concentrate on our preferred concept. But some of the items we looked at were improved intersections, again, the native landscape, and we thought also a lot about how could we maybe integrate stormwater, so having either rain gardens or bioswales that might capture some of the stormwater along this parking area. Keep going. Shade trees, community gathering spaces, educational or interpretive signage that could happen. Keep going. Again, drought tolerant landscape, seating areas. Keep going. One more. Yeah. So this was the final concept, and kind of what we did is I think, took some parts and pieces from the initial two concepts to come up with our preferred concept. This one I know is a little bit hard to read, and we'll dive into some enlargement plans if you want to keep going that kind of show each area. So this is the north side, Nance Park. So as you can see, one of the big ideas for the park redesign was kind of consolidating the parking along the edge. So right now it's kind of like this oval shape that has this green in the middle, but it's really kind of almost unusable space just because of how it's occupied. So
I'm trying to get him to zoom in, but I can't zoom in.
no zooming apparently. Sorry, one more. Yeah, there you go. So again, trying to consolidate the parking and really allow that waterfront edge to be a little more continuous with the park amenities and features and connectivity along the water's edge. Also introduced, yeah, there you go. Also introduced, and I'll look at the plans first, but at the end, we also have some perspective imagery of what some of these spaces could look like. But another feature of the park would be potentially redoing the restroom building. So another thing we heard a lot about was having a community building space. So the idea was we could incorporate restroom, community building, maybe a rentable space. And then also could be concessions or other types of facilities there as well. And that is connected to the event lawn, which again could host community events. And then you can see to the south, along 4th Avenue, we actually have designed that as a festival street. And what that could be is, it could be pavers that could be still open and open to vehicular use and parking during the day, but you could have removable bollards where that could be closed down for weekday nights, evenings, weekends for special events. And then you'll also see at 5th Avenue, proposing that as potentially a raised intersection. So we know there's been a lot of kind of car issues going through that intersection and really wanting to improve that. So the thought was if we make that a raised intersection, it introduces traffic calming and really makes that more of a pedestrian plaza space where people feel comfortable and safe crossing the street, and also gives vehicles a little more of a visual and physical indication of not speeding through that intersection. If you want to keep going. And again, I'll kind of go a little bit quickly through these plans because I think the perspective images will kind of give you a little bit of a taste of what we think this could look like. So this is the central segment, basically going from 5th to the south. And this shows the boardwalk component that could happen along the parking edge. So part of what we looked at is, one, slightly reducing the cross-section of the parking area, keeping most, if not all, of the parking, but making the drive aisle widths maybe a little bit more narrow, still have fire access, but just not quite as wide. Also having pervious pavers that could happen along the parking aisle. So again, reducing kind of the sea of asphalt and having a little bit of a nicer character to this area. And then you can see the boardwalk, which kind of meanders. So we've identified the pockets of sea grape that we know we have to preserve in these areas, but the boardwalk kind of meanders in and around those areas. The thought was, again, we want to preserve the sea grapes, but there could be opportunities to maybe go over some of the dune areas so that people can kind of learn a little bit more about that landscape. If you want to keep going. And then this is the most southern part. Again, another kind of intersection improvement there at 11th Avenue. But also, we really view this as even more than a streetscape improvement. It kind of becomes a linear park. So it could be really nice just for, again, people could park there, could walk, could have some nice views, could have education. As Mark mentioned, we talked a lot to the Sea Turtle people, and I know they do a lot of educational events and activities. So this, I think, could be a nice amenity for them as well. If you want to keep going. So these show some of the perspectives. This is of the 5th Avenue intersection improvement. So obviously wanting to put bollards or some sort of hard edge along that area, but this could all be raised, be more of like a plaza atmosphere. If you go one more slide. This shows a similar option, but with a little more landscape and shade in that plaza area. And the bollards could also be reinforced with some planting areas along that edge to kind of doubly enforce that barrier and kind of make sure that pedestrians feel safe in that plaza space. There could be an art feature, other feature in that area. Keep going. And then this shows some of the just improvements that could happen along this linear portion. So again, the boardwalk, some kind of strategic landscape islands that could have shade trees. That was another thing we heard a lot about is, it was kind of interesting. We heard a lot about wanting more shade, but then we also heard from some of the residential areas a little further down that they didn't want their views blocked. So we kind of looked strategically at some of the intersections where there weren't any buildings and how we could place tree islands strategically along the corridor. Next. And then this also looks at an option to have more of a straight boardwalk. So we like the idea of the curvilinear boardwalk, but I think we also recognize that from a permitting perspective, that could be a bit tricky, going over some of the dune areas. So this also shows where we could still keep a nice vegetated area, but have more of a straight segment of boardwalk and kind of keep that in between the parking and the dunes. Next. And then this shows the Festival Street area. So this is the 4th Street or 4th Avenue portion. And again, showing some different kind of programming. So the top left shows where you could shut it down completely and have booths or festivals. The top right shows where maybe you just have booths along the right edge. And so there's a nice little kind of sidewalk area along that edge where you could still have parking for half of that space. And then the other one shows where you could have it all as parking. So I think there's like some different options and alternatives, but it seemed like some of the business owners were actually excited because they were like, oh, there'll be more people walking by my business, and if there's an event, they can come, before or after. So I know there's maybe a concern about loss of parking, but I think it also maybe brings more people to the area.
And just to be clear, all three options are the option. It's not one or the other. It's
right. It's kind of how you could
configure
operate it. Yeah. So I think you could do any of those options at any given time.
Right.
Yeah, depending on how you want to.
Saturday morning farmer's market or whatever.
Right.
And then you take the bollards out and it's the regular street again.
Right, exactly. Next. And then again, this just shows some images of what that could look like with the booths. You can kind of flip through these. Yeah, keep going, sorry. This shows kind of the park side, so the Festival Street's on the left, then you have a nice kind of sidewalk landscape area, and then the park would be on the right-hand side. Keep going. And again, kind of a view looking back the other way, but again, similar concept. The thought too is that this could be like a flush condition, like a curbless street. So again, if and when you do shut it down for festivals, it's kind of friendly to pedestrians, but you could have bollards and other things to also keep vehicles in place.
So it's essentially a seating area in Nance Park on that edge, like where
right.
the existing parking is. That would be a paver, plaza, whatever.
Yeah, kind of, again, between the street and the park. Yeah, exactly. Next. I think that's the same view. Next. Okay, so this is now in the park and shows the restroom and community building. So one of our design inspirations was the old casino building. So we kind of tried to take like some of the architectural design elements from that. The thing that we kind of envisioned for this space is, it could be a ground floor restroom, could house the Sea Turtle Society, could house like different functions. If you go to the next slide. But the thought is the second floor could actually have maybe a community space, so it could be rented out for whether it's, a wedding reception or a bridal shower or different things. That's something that we heard again a lot at the community meeting was there's not really space like that where people can kind of rent out or have something. And I think the thought too was if that's on the second floor and you can kind of see there's potentially an outdoor covered space. You could maybe even have some ocean views on the other side. I want to go one more. Outdoor seating, kind of picnic tables and different things. So this, the picnic table area would kind of face this event lawn, which would be on the other side. So again, a lot of different types of community events that could take place here.
One thing that Al talked about was having, not a stage, Surprisingly, an amphitheater, I heard more requests for that than I thought I would. And so this isn't really an amphitheater, but it could be configured so that it's a stage, because to the left, this is looking straight east. To the left is the event lawn, so you could have, you know, like the Christmas tree lighting. That's where the kids sing with a better audio visual than what we have now.
Yeah.
No offense, Joe, who's not listening. Yeah, and then so the event lawn would be where the people are and tree is and all that stuff.
Right, exactly. If you go to the next slide, which I think might be the last one, yeah, so again, we should probably show one of the event lawn, but it's right on the other side of where this community building would be. But again, this shows kind of the boardwalk, how you could potentially have views out to the water from the second floor, have some nice shade and kind of covered porch space around the building as well. And really kind of a multi-purpose plaza even, where you could have picnic tables, you could have different site furnishings, or you could take some of those things out if you were having an event. And I think that's it. So thank you so much, and glad to answer any questions if you all have any.
Doug, do you have any questions, comments?
No, just thank you for the concepts, and it helps me expand my mind, so to speak, and what's possible. Obviously, the next part's the harder part, at least from a taxpayer standpoint. But no, I appreciate it. I think this is very well done, and I appreciate the community involvement and business community involvement as well. So it helps us develop a well-rounded appreciation for what potentially we could offer. So no questions at this time. So other than, well, I just want to understand what the next steps are and the timeline.
John?
Yeah, I have no questions, but thank you very much. And you described Wavecrest very aptly as a sea of asphalt. I walk down there every day, and I shake my head every day.
Yeah.
Carrie?
I agree with Councilman Brady. This is a beautiful concept. I'm so excited about it. I also walk down Wavecrest all the way to the end every day with my dog, and so it's very excited. I do have some small concerns about the lack of parking, because it appears that we're going to lose quite a bit of parking, which from our town's perspective, that's revenue for us that we'll lose. And history will always tell us that if people want to come and there's no parking, they will find a way.
They'll leave, yeah.
So-
I want to say, I'll go back and double check, but I want to say we're losing like 10 to 20 spaces, so it's pretty minimal, I want to say. It could be less, but I'll let Mark know for sure.
Yeah.
We can look
Yeah,
at
and I
it.
think the county, they were saying that, like, we couldn't reduce the parking within Nance Park at all. So for people that aren't aware, the county actually owns, or the state owns Nance Park. We rent it from the county, or lease it from the county. So the county is saying you can't remove any parking, which we don't want to remove parking anyway. It's just consolidated. But anyway.
But yeah, that's a good point.
I'm confident we can overcome it, and I think this is a great presentation. I'm very excited.
Thank you.
One thing I'll add, the building. Carrie did a very nice job with the presentation. It's that building specifically is kind of a placeholder. We'd work with an architect to come up with something more specific. I think that has potential to be, I don't want to call it a gold mine, but I think it could generate a lot of revenue. And everybody's worried about cost. Who isn't? The idea would be to not take any tax money for it, right? And if we did, that would go to a vote. So anybody's worried about that, it has to go to a vote of the residents. So if there's any tax dollars that go to it, it has to go to a vote by the residents. The other option, partially, would be taking a loan, which would also have to go to the residents. And if we can show that the community center can basically self-fund a small loan of a few $1 million, that would pay for that part. But I've also been in discussion with, we talked with Mike, and I met with Congressman Herodopoulos' office. They're confident we can get some money, but again, it's a few million. We met with a grant writer who thinks we can get some. So I think if we can get a few chunks of 2 to 4 million each, I think it's a doable thing. And that is, again, without taking any tax dollars for it, which is the goal.
And additionally, I mean, this, we obviously presented, from north to south, all three sections, but we could easily chunk it out into.
You could.
Bite size. I recognize the preference would nominally be to do it all, otherwise you end up halfway.
Right, yeah.
Risk is you end up halfway.
Yeah, one downfall to dragging it out, again, money's money if we don't have the money.
Cost goes up.
Right, cost goes up, so, yeah, but anyway. Mike, did you have anything to add? Nothing?
No, just funding would be the big thing and matching and things, because obviously it's the enterprise zone.
Right.
So it's kind of almost a break-even point down there in Wavecrest and Nance Park.
Anything else?
So from a next step standpoint, what do you see as the next steps?
Finding money?
Yeah, and do we have, I don't know if that's part of the scope, that you guys provided a notional project budget, like an outline at a top level?
Yeah, we have some kind of order of magnitude cost of what we think it could be.
Yeah, they provided one, and I also spoke with a local builder who does this exact thing. He was lower. His estimate was 8 to 10 million for the whole thing. He said 8, you can get almost exactly that. 10 will for sure, but again, that was several months ago.
Right.
Price has gone up. So I mean, it's no small project. The town budget is 8-ish million, right? Yeah, total million. So that's going to be the hard part.
Agreed.
It might not be as hard as you think.
Okay.
Fair enough. But yeah, you gotta ask.
Yeah.
I mean, look at our Nance Park, and look how the community came together for that.
Right.
Whoever did that was fabulous.
Yeah.
Fundraiser.
That was not me. I know the person. Yeah, so that's where we're at.
Thank you, Carrie. That's
Yeah,
all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any comments from public? Anyone? All right. Nothing, Diogo? All right. I know you want to.
Do we know how much money we make from the parking there on Wavecrest?
It's a break even at this point.
Break even is how much money? Like, what happens if we double it? Is it still
400.
nothing? Oh, I'm so sorry. Diogo Adrados, 420 11th Ave.
Right now, probably about $300,000.
Okay. And that's not including the part that we lease? Because I'm assuming Wavecrest we don't lease. That's including the part we lease? Okay. All right. Thanks.
All right. Any other comment? All right. Carrie, thank you. You're free to go, or you can sit around. Enjoy noise ordinance talk. Public comments, non-agenda items. Persons wishing to address the town council on a matter not listed on the agenda may speak at this time. Speakers must provide their name, address, observe 3-minute time limit, and speak only after being recognized. Any non-agenda items? Cool. Oh. All right. Come on up. Name and address, please.
Kane Greco, 200 South Palm Ave. I've lived in that house since 2014. I've done nothing but make it better, upgrade the neighborhood. I mean, I've done everything, spent money, sweat equity, whatever, make it nicer. And over the years, I feel like I've been harassed for certain things I've done. I've asked a couple of times why that is, and they say, well, we drive by your house and we see it. What about the other 15 houses that have the same thing I have? Well, we don't drive by it. Well, I feel like it's selective enforcement, and so I feel like it's biased and they're prejudiced. So I'm gonna see what happens, but it's not gonna end here. I mean, we'll have to see what happens if you guys are gonna keep harassing me.
So you want to just send me, how about you send me and Mike, the town manager, an email to talk about specifics? Because I haven't heard anything
It's
about
happened
it.
over the years, and finally, I put up with it since 2014, and now
Right.
I'm at the
Sure.
end. I'm not gonna put up with it.
Okay. Mayor McDermott at Indialantic.com, or you can go to the website.
Okay.
And send me some specifics.
Sure.
And I can maybe find some answers.
You have
or-
to. I got plenty of pictures, all kinds of things I can send.
Okay, cool.
Great.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, public announcements. May 25th is Memorial Day, and Town Hall will be closed. There are openings on the following boards and committees: the Civil Service, Heritage Committee, Parks, Recreation, and Beautification Committee. Consent agenda. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. I want to pull item 8 from.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda minus item number 8, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, Doug, what's your problem?
It's not a problem.
Okay.
I just have I have a small ask. If there is additional room in the budget, could we add to this or to a future paving project within this fiscal year to redo the sidewalk pavement in Vince Benefente Park, as well as the one on Tampa Ave? I can't remember the name of it. But I know that in those two parks specifically, maybe there's other ones as well. The pedestrian pathway that goes through it is degraded, and I don't,
Sunset Park?
yeah, I haven't been there in a little bit, but.
Okay,
maybe-
we just did some sidewalk down there in the last couple months.
I know just the trail that goes to the water, though. If that one's been redone, then that's on me for not being in.
I think isn't it a concrete sidewalk from the street all the way to the water?
Okay, I'm misremembering, but.
Yeah. Yes. Well, you're talking about at Sunrise Park too in Tampa?
Yeah, just assess those, and if there's additional money in the budget that fits within scope to
We'll
get
get
those
with it,
done.
and I'll get with Joe and stuff, and, because it's not that, it's gonna have a different budget item than the paving is and stuff.
Fair enough, but I didn't know if it was the same contractor, if you could include it without having to go back out for quote and all that.
We'll get we have a contractor that does our sidewalks and stuff differently.
That was it.
It's a lot cheaper than paving, trust me.
Well, I know the weight load is a lot lower, so the undersoil is a lot
Yeah.
easier to do. So that's all I had.
We'll get it taken care of.
All right. Is there a motion to approve item 8 on the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve item number 8 on the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right. Unanimous. All right. Ordinances in public hearing. Ordinance 2026-08, first reading, public hearing relating to the definitions used in the town's noise ordinance. An ordinance of the town of Indialantic, Brevard County, Florida, amending section 22-31 of the Indialantic Code of Ordinances relating to definitions used in the town's noise ordinances, providing for implementation, providing for severability, providing for conflict, and providing for an effective date. Matt, you're the lawyer.
Sure. So, as we can see, there's several ordinances on the books here tonight for a first reading, and this stems from the conversations that we've been having for the past 5 months or so about redoing the noise ordinances, the sound amplification ordinances, really to reach sort of a compromise between residents, business owners, people who want it to be silent 24 hours a day, and people who would like to play live music and those types of things. So in getting community feedback over the past few meetings, at the last meeting, I believe it was, I presented several drafts of potential new noise ordinances, one for the sound amplification portion and the other for just the general noise disturbance ordinances. And so after we had some discussion on that, I prepared all these in ordinance format for a first reading, and I broke them down into 2231, 2234, 2235. And the goal here with the first one that we're looking at is to simplify just the definition of what a noise disturbance is. So instead of going with the previous language that you can see in the current ordinance that has what might be considered some subjective terms as, does it disturb, does it annoy, is it harmful, does it tend to annoy, does it frighten, does it otherwise cause an adverse psychological or physiological effect. We've simplified it to just a noise disturbance means any noise which is plainly audible on any adjoining property or neighboring property. An adjoining property being a property that shares a property line, a neighboring property being one that doesn't share a property line. And so all these proposed ordinances are meant to work in conjunction with one another. So what we've done here in the one that's before you currently is we've changed the definition to simplify noise disturbance. And then in the next one that we're going to look at, we've changed it to just, hey, it's plainly audible. You can hear it. If you can hear it for 10 seconds, then it's a noise disturbance, or if twice in one 60-second period. And then in the third ordinance that we're looking at, we've carved out exceptions. And that one really gets into the issues that we had been discussing with the sort of the balance that we're trying to reach. And that gets into the issue of, well, you know, a property owner within these districts can have certain noise. We've debated between once or twice a week between certain hours. But what we're looking at here is just changing the definition of a noise disturbance to just, is it plainly audible on an adjoining or neighboring property, to start out with, without getting into the subjectivity of, does it disturb, does it annoy, is it harmful?
All right, so we're talking about definitions only. So do we have a motion for the definitions right now?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2026-08.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Doug, do you have any comments, concerns related to definitions?
Just a question for Matt, I mean, obviously this is first reading, so we're going to second reading. If for whatever reason, do all these need to be enacted at the same time? All four of these ordinances, I apologize. It'd be enacted at the same time in order for them to work, or what if we went forward or delayed one, would we need to delay the others?
Yeah,
Just a question.
they are really intended to work together.
That was
in
my-
conjunction. Yeah,
my-
they really are.
I don't have any real fuss with 06 or 08. I don't have any real comments. Overall, generally, thank you for doing this. There's a lot of hard work that went into it. So.
John?
No, I don't mean.
Gary?
I just have one request. I just want us to make sure that there is little to no ambiguity in the understanding of what these means, because we have some people that like to interpret things differently in our codes. I'm saying that as nicely as I can. And I think it causes confusion in how things are operated, or how we operate in the town. We honor all our codes. We enforce all our codes. And and it's been suggested that we don't, but we do. And I just want to forward, and I know you're working really hard on it, and we really appreciate it. But if there can be little to no ambiguity, then I think that's the best way to go. And that's all I had to say.
All right.
Just want to go back on the topic of neighboring.
Yes.
There's some discussion in the broader Florida statutes with regards to specifying a distance of what neighboring means. Would that be specified here, or would that be specified in one of the later ordinances?
Well, it is included in the definition section.
Yeah, that is. I didn't know if we would include a distance here, or the distance would be put somewhere else, or would that be something we need to evaluate if we wanted to do it?
Yeah, if we wanted to do it, we could talk about it, doing it in the definition section. I think that makes sense.
Okay.
As it reads now, it means a property which does not share a contiguous boundary with another property, but which is close enough in proximity to be affected by the noise produced by another property. So what's your suggestion? What is your concern?
My concern is if you're neighboring in a close proximity, but you're not far away.
Contiguous, yeah.
Contiguous, then what is close in terms of neighboring? Is it 100 feet, 200 feet, 300 feet? I know there's a range of opinions in the summary I sent over.
Okay.
And obviously that could change based on hours of operations too, or hours of the quiet time versus unquiet time.
I mean, yeah, as it stands now, it's which is close enough in proximity to be affected by it, but if we wanted to put in a range in terms of feet, or?
Well,
I'm just confused because, again, I always go back to the enforcement of this. So we're going to have a police officer out there with a tape measure saying it's 150 feet, or no, he's 151 feet, he's good. So I like the plainly audible, it's disturbing, all of that. Once we start getting into, it's 150.2 feet, well, he's good. But you go to 149.7, he's not good. So I would steer clear of that, because what you're doing is putting a young police officer in a position to have to make a decision out there. Is it 150 feet or is it 152 feet? So I'd be against any distance. I think it's ridiculous.
I understand. Just in comparison with other similar cities within the state of Florida, that there are varying applications of it. Some specify, some do not. It's just an option for discussion. Respect your input. And I know in previous discussions, with your predecessor, we had talked about distances and what kind of visually representative of, what that means.
And then there's the challenge of where do you measure it from and all that.
Well, and I think that's part of what the definitions in the later language gets to, is to, that you don't have to be on the property line, you just have to hear it from the adjacent property. It's away from some of that, but the distance standpoint, I understand.
I mean, to me, neighboring doesn't need a distance if you're not sharing a property line, right? So you're neighboring. Are you half a mile away and loud? Is it too loud, or is it 2 houses away and you're
Yeah,
too loud?
no, I get it. I mean, obviously, for half a mile one, you can hear it, then
Right.
then that's a violation. If you're a house over and you can hear it, is that a violation? I think that's where it gets a little bit more discretionary, to the point.
Right.
So I just want to bring the question up.
All right. Anything else? Public comment as related to definitions. You probably want to talk later, I'm guessing. Yeah, so all those in favor of approving ordinance 2026-08 related to definitions used in the town's noise ordinance, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, unanimous. Moving on, we have ordinance 2026-09, first reading, public hearing relating to the prohibition of a noise disturbance and providing for a noise violation based on a plainly audible standard. This is the meat and potatoes of the ordinance, more or less, correct?
Yes, this and the next one with the exceptions.
Right, okay. So anything to add for this?
Well, I mean, so what we just approved on first reading changes the definition. So it's just a noise disturbance is plainly audible from an adjoining property. So it makes it simple. It takes out the subjectivity. And so what this one provides is this also takes out some of the subjective language that was used before, where it looks at the nature, the origin, the volume, intensity, the proximity to sleeping facilities, a whole list of things. And what we've done is we've taken out the subjectivity, and it just is a plainly audible standard as to whether or not the code enforcement officer can hear it from an adjoining property or a neighboring property to witnesses who can hear it without the aid of any hearing aid or amplification device. And on top of that, it has to be for at least 10 seconds or twice in the same 60-second period. And what's important about this one is we start from that general perspective of, okay, this is a noise this is a noise disturbance if it's plainly audible. And then there's a carve out here. A noise disturbance does not occur when the noise is specifically enumerated. It's specifically enumerated exempt activity in section 2235, and that's the next ordinance we'll look at. So yeah, they are all meant to be read together. So this really starts off from the perspective of, okay, if it's plainly audible on an adjoining property, it's a noise disturbance. And then we get to the exceptions.
And for everyone paying attention, plainly audible sounds to me awfully vague, but it is a legal standard. And basically, it's kind of the difference. You're standing in your front yard and you can dance along to the music from 2 houses down. That's plainly audible. If you're sitting there thinking, do I hear something? That's not plainly audible. Even though you're hearing something, that's not plainly audible. So.
And when we were discussing these, the proposed drafts in the last couple council meetings, there was a thought of, and some cities use plainly audible standard, some cities use a decibel level, and I think the input from the town, from the council, and from the chief and code enforcement was that we didn't want to use a decibel standard. We wanted to use the plainly audible standard, which is a standard that a lot of cities use.
Do we have a motion for ordinance 2026-09?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion for ordinance 2026-09, first reading related to prohibition of a noise disturbance.
And the motion is to approve or deny?
Pardon me?
The motion is to approve or deny?
To approve.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All right. Doug?
So I don't like the two-party witness corroboration. I just think that's a recipe for tag teaming up on somebody, and then with regards to how does that get, what's the threshold for that being evidence that's admissible or actionable? How does that get, can you report it after the fact? Do they have to be there at the same time? Do you have to have a video? Do you have to, just, how does that two-party, obviously, the strong preference is a code enforcement officer, which in the non-operational hours of the day or the evening is the police. Obviously, it's beneficial to have a second evidentiary pathway, as a word would be, but I don't like the two-party because I can already see who and how that would be
I think where
used.
that's going, though, and correct me if I'm wrong, is if you've got two neighbors, right, that are complaining about the same noise, that just helps bolster the violation, right? I mean, so, or explain to us how that two-person,
Well,
how that would look.
it can be independent of the code officer. Instead of just bolstering the code officer, if the code officer doesn't hear it, but he hears reliable statements from two witnesses, then that can be the violation in and of itself. And I think that's the issue that,
I would tend to agree with Doug on this, that, I mean, you get two neighbors together, and they don't like the guy that lives in the middle of them, and they can just start calling in noise violations. So I don't know if
Well, they can still call the police, right, and have them come out.
I understand that.
Yeah, fair enough.
But
fair
I'm just saying, if they want to start building a case against their neighbor, and just say, hey, he's, and we have
evidence, yeah.
evidence of that happening in our town now. Anyway, I just don't like having, and are they anonymous as well? They can't be anonymous, right?
cannot.
Okay.
as per Florida statute, that was
Correct.
changed a few years ago, right?
I'd worry about two parties being, you could get a husband and a wife. And I know if my wife told me she heard something, I'm going to hear something.
Damn straight.
Yeah, 35 years of marriage,
Pretty
right?
common.
Carrie, anything?
I tend to agree.
So, suggestions?
Yeah, I mean, I would ask Matt to see what he would recommend as an alternative approach.
Suggestions?
Suggestions.
We can take that provision out, if that's the preference of.
I mean, we always have we have 24/7, 365 police officer coverage. Somebody can call it in, so there's always a pathway for somebody to file a complaint. The timeliness of that may be impacted by the availability of the code officer on the call.
Right, and the police officer would be the objective party. I mean, they're coming there, they don't have an axe to grind with any of it. They're going to come there, going to listen, yeah, that's plainly audible, it's annoying, shut it down. I mean,
I'm okay with that.
Is the preference to delete that portion then?
That is my preference.
mine too.
Okay.
Then are the hours in this section, Matt? I was
In the
looking-
next section.
okay. Yeah, my summary that, anyway, yes, thank you, that's fine.
You're overachieving.
Relax. That's okay. Just want to get it right, and then we'll be done.
Mike, do you have anything? No? Else from council? Nothing? All right, public comment. Sure, Kitty.
Kitty Lowe, 411 3rd Avenue. How about some video? You can
Ye-
take video and you can still hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I already see where this is going, so it's not going to go that, I mean, or it's not us, clamoring to get anybody out of business or anything. I don't know if that's what's going on here, but I think video would be suffice enough to say, here, this is the noise that's going on. If the officer can't get there right away, or even, 10 minutes down the road, and the noise already stopped, and then it picks up later. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a video, is there? Audio, video?
Can I comment on that? I just think the video that we've seen, some of the evidence we've seen come in an email, listen, I think that when the noise is going to happen in your certain situation, call law enforcement, right? Or call the,
yeah.
I know, but when we get the videos via email, I don't know how you guys see, but I can't hear what's going on. Some of the video quality is not that good, the audio quality is not that good, so
It is hard to,
It gets compressed, yeah.
yeah, it gets compressed and
The
then,
intensity is not there on a video.
Correct, and I
Correct,
agree.
and that's it. The
So-
intensity is not there.
Right.
Because it is intense.
So I don't know if video evidence for a noise violation would cut it, because there's so many
If you
variables.
can hear it, and you can hear it and sing to it, or whatever
Right, but
they're
you-
doing with it, whatever. I mean,
I'm just saying, I personally have trouble when I get the emails, hearing, what's going on. Some of it you can make out, but some of it you can't.
I've not sent emails to anything about
No, but we've got them
Casa
from other
Bonita.
sources.
He's not talking about you.
I'm not talking
Okay.
about you.
All
We've
right.
gotten them from other sources.
Right.
With noise complaints, And I'm like, I don't, where's the noise complaint?
Right.
You know,
Right.
I don't know.
It
what
is
It's
very-
hard to tell, and it's hard to know
Yeah,
where you're
especially when
standing
you're
on the
your
line.
phone. It's not like you're,
Right.
you know, have a big thing on my shoulder. You know, it's just mine that for a different person.
Well, I think the
It's always
other
been-
important part is you can, or somebody can take the video and show it to the police officer,
That's
say,
what
hey,
we-
there
we
was
have-
noise. But the police officer can't use that as evidence for
Right.
a violation.
Right, right,
Cannot.
right.
Okay.
Right.
So it's
can't be-
only the police officer can come, but if he hears it, we're not gonna say, oh, it's, you know, 8 o'clock and it's okay. You know?
And the two evidence are.
I'm just throwing stuff out there,
Yeah, no, I
just to
appreciate it.
know.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But in the instance where there is two witness corroboration, a video in and of itself is not necessarily sufficient. It's not that that changes, not to go back to that discussion, but I think just because of the nature of the media which you recorded, it becomes, I wouldn't say inadmissible, but it becomes less relevant. It has more to do with the attestation of the witness and the person and how they can certify what they heard, at least in my opinion, but I'm not law enforcement, so I don't know.
This is a big change, guys, you know. Some
Yep.
of you are maybe thinking it's not, but an ordinance change like this is a big deal. And maybe we're on the wrong end of the street, but I've been there for 25 years, and I haven't had to deal with this much stuff in the last 2 years than ever, and since I've been there.
The current
And
ordinance
I'm
does
just-
not allow for two witness corroboration, correct?
Correct,
So we're not removing any current capability in that
Correct.
regard specifically.
correct.
What's that?
The current ordinance does not allow for two corroborating witnesses to file a noise
No,
complaint.
but it did allow for audio, video.
You still have the ability to submit that to the police, yes.
Did you have something to add, Carrie? All right. Molly, did you get her address? I missed it. Okay. Any other public comment? Diogo Andradas of,
Diego Drados, 420 11th Ave.
that's it, 420. 11.
About removing the two witness thing. I mean, if two witnesses got together and colluded to lie, as I think that's what we're saying. I mean,
It happens all the time.
sure. But I think here's a philosophy maybe that the town stands sometimes in between private parties that could. I would like to see some of these people out in tort and away from the business of the town itself, right? If they want to sue each other, one person claims that the comments made were false comments or false statements, right? They can take that to court, and it's between the two of them, right? So I think that one thing that maybe would be good with having these witness claims is they can hash it out themselves.
Let me just read the portion about the witnesses that exists in the code now. It doesn't provide the two witnesses, but it does provide sound claimed to be a noise disturbance shall be determined by an enforcement officer based on the following. The enforcement officer actually hears or detects the sound personally, or the officer receives statements and evidence from witnesses who heard or detected the sound personally, and the officer deems such statements or evidence to be authentic, reliable, and sufficient. So it doesn't provide specifically for two witnesses, but it does provide, as it stands today, for a code officer to base a noise disturbance on statements or other evidence received from witnesses.
And the proposed new ordinance would allow for witness statements and recordings as part of that assessment for the citation or citing by a code enforcement officer.
Correct. Correct. And then that's what's being debated as to whether or not to take that out now.
I don't think we're removing recording, we're just removing the ability of, so the 12-factor totality of circumstances does include witness statements and recordings that can be presented to the code enforcement officer, correct? Or am I have that wrong?
The 12, let's see, the 12 factors?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it could be in my summary incorrectly.
So Matt, let me understand this correctly. So my neighbor has a party on Saturday night.
Right.
It is out of control.
Right.
Noise everywhere, right? Call the police, but by the time the police get there, the noise has subsided, it's gone away, so the police go away. But I get my other neighbor to write a statement and say, yeah, there was a party there till 10:15, on Saturday night, the noise was out of control. Is code enforcement going to write that person a violation based on those
Well,
statements?
what doesn't change is the fact that the warning and penalty sections of it.
No, I get all that. I'm
Yeah,
just saying, just for the mechanics of this, the process of this. Police get there, determine that there's nothing, they don't hear anything, right? Parties wound down, people went away, whatever. But the noise violation allegedly occurred, according to these two neighbors. So we're gonna write up a violation on that?
Not if we eliminate this portion of it.
Okay, but if we keep this portion, we're writing violations based on witness statements after the fact.
There's still prosecutorial discretion, correct?
Right. I mean, that's how it reads now.
Okay, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
So you still want to take it out, the two witnesses?
Well, I think we're going to run into that situation. I think we're going to run into a situation where there's a noise ordinance violation or a perceived noise ordinance violation. The police come out there, whatever was going on is not going on anymore, but, there was a noise violation prior to, or alleged noise violation prior to that. What do we, because that's the situation that we're dealing with right now.
Right now.
That is the meat and potatoes of what we're dealing with right now. We have noise violations that go on that, for whatever reason, they're gone when the police get there, or the police get there and tell them to turn it down. They do turn it down. So that's exactly what we're dealing with now, is alleged noise violations
Right.
that are just based off of, and some of them are based in fact, and some are based in somebody's lack of a hobby.
Well, with the inclusion of that in there, the officer can consider that a violation with the two witnesses. With the exclusion of it, it would have to be the officer hearing it himself.
So how do you guys want to move? You want to remove it or not?
I'd like to hear your opinion.
Chief wants to go back 2 years ago. Okay, 3 years ago.
I would just need clarification because the town attorney said under 22-34B1 and then read that and then said or section 2. Is that and or is that or between section 1 and section 2, or are they independent of each other?
Subsection 1, a noise disturbance occurs, 1, when the code officer actually hears it.
Right, and then you said or 2, a code enforcement officer personally receives statements or other and I know it's semantics, but it's important.
No, those are ors.
Because that makes it
Or.
independent of each other.
Yeah, it's ors, yeah.
Okay. I have to be careful what I say here because a lawsuit has been filed against me by a certain business here in town. So I'll keep it short. We can actually not just even worry about this as an ordinance at this point. We can actually refer to state statute for breach of peace, disorderly conduct. And in that case, we would get statements from as many people who are affected and make that part of our case report. So, if it's one complainant, we're going to handle it just as much as if it was 3 or 4 complainants. We get statements. We do statements on body cameras now and things like that. So, to me, it's half a dozen, 12 on one, 6 of the other, whatever that saying is. But I don't see really a need for it because I do see the position where you get there's animus between 2 or 3 people against one business or one person, and now you do have them teaming up on them, and it's just a perpetual thing going on and on and on.
So you're speaking as it's proposed, just eliminating the 2 witnesses because of exactly that. But you would, in practice, you would still do your investigation and talk to
Yes, sir,
more
of
people.
course. I would eliminate it. That's my professional opinion. And then, again, if anybody does want to provide a written statement, we're happy to take it. It's a sworn written statement. If it does go before a code board, then that person would be subject to having to come up and testify as to what they saw, what they heard also. with the video evidence and things like that, that has to be authenticated under the rules of evidentiary procedure and things like that. So it's just like a statement, basically. Anything they want to provide to us, we're going to put in as part of our case packet or part of our ordinance, you know, our case report or incident report and things like that. So
Okay.
I don't see a need for it. Section 2.
Doug, do you want to amend the motion?
I mean, I think we just gave direction to Matt to
Remove section 2?
B, subpart 2, yeah.
Okay.
I stand by my personal opinion on that, obviously.
Yeah.
Can't speak for other council people.
So the motion would be to approve with removing B2.
Correct.
Correct.
Correct, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to approve with 2026-09, striking section 22-33, paragraph B, subparagraph 2.
All right,
I'll second that.
all right. Any other public comment? Now, I know, Mr. Soto, you would talk about time restrictions. Is that what you want to talk about now, or?
Well, I want to talk about noise and kind of the conversation that I keep hearing. Jose Soto, 290 Paradise Boulevard, number 3. I'm, as kind of a member of the community, I'm just kind of a little bit confused. I just am not quite sure what the, in some sense, we're enacting an ordinance because there's a perceived problem, but as I hear, you know, commentary by Chief and others that one business, several neighboring individuals, it seems quite targeted to me as opposed to a kind of a broad problem that our community is facing, and we need to enact legislation to prevent that. And it just, so I'm trying to figure out what it is, how targeted this is, one business that there's concern about, and I'll have other comments when it, because I don't know what the protocol here is. I didn't know what to put down, what I want to comment on, but there are other things that, but that's the kind of the concern, because I keep hearing one business, several folks. Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe you can clarify that for me.
I think this is, correct me if I'm wrong, this is just tightening up an existing noise ordinance.
Right.
Tightening up definitions, tightening up some other things that were in that noise ordinance.
Right, the noise ordinance has existed for a while. It's
Oh, I
just
understand that,
changed,
but I
so.
keep hearing comments about one business. I keep hearing comments about 2 or 3 neighboring individuals or other business. I don't know what the exact thing is, but it makes it seem that the ordinance is very specific to try to kind of limit a concern about some noises somewhere very specific as opposed to.
It's not targeted at anyone. It is based on experience from
Yeah.
enforcement.
So I would ask, does Indialantic get a lot of noise ordinance violations in the course of a year? I mean, we're talking about
There's a
10,
few.
100,
Yeah.
1,000?
No, there's a few.
What is a few, sir?
I don't have that number, so.
My wife tells me a few is 3 or 4. Some is,
Yeah.
you know. So, you know, it's just a concern that I, you know, have. I'm not a practicing attorney, but I learned enough in law school to know that words make a difference, and intent is not always good, but the impact of an ordinance is probably more important, at least to me, in my opinion. But I do hope that I have the opportunity to address on other issues related
Yep.
to noise and time and et cetera. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate you.
All right, thank you. Any other public comment?
Well, and I would just add, as the Vice Mayor stated, it's nothing new to have a noise ordinance. We've had a noise ordinance for some time. Every municipality has a noise ordinance in one form or another. So it's not an odd thing to have a noise ordinance.
And as the chief stated, there's also state statutes that
Correct.
will bolster any of this.
All right. All those in favor of approving ordinance 2026-09 relating to the prohibition of a noise disturbance and providing for a noise violation based on plainly audible standards, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, unanimous. All right, moving on. This is related. We have ordinance 2026-10, first reading, public hearing relating to certain activities being exempt from being a noise disturbance. An ordinance of the Town of Indialantic, Brevard County, Florida, amending Section 22-35 of the Indialantic Code of Ordinances relating to the certain activities being exempt from being a noise disturbance, providing for implementation, providing for severability, providing for conflict, and providing for an effective date. So Matt.
Yeah, so this also is meant to be read in conjunction with the definitional section, and also the portion that is a noise disturbance for anything that's plainly audible on an adjoining property. And so what we've done here in 2234 said that it's not a noise disturbance if it's one of the activities that's listed in this ordinance, 2235. And this is, again, an ordinance that existed prior to our discussion over the past several months, and it's, for the most part, unchanged. And it defines, it says the following activities shall be exempt from being a noise disturbance, and it goes through a whole list of items: emergency vehicles, non-speech related to law enforcement, fireworks on the 4th of July, these types of things. And these are all items that were previously in this ordinance. Nothing's changing with respect to those. And then you get down to 9, and this is really what I think we've been discussing for the past few months, carving out an exception that really strikes a balance. And so what we've done here is, I'll just read it just so it's clear to everyone. So this would not be considered a disturbance, rather. On no more than one day during a 7-day week, beginning on a Sunday and ending on a Saturday, noise such as live music, recorded music, or the spoken word emanating from any property located in the C, C1, C2, SC, or T zoning districts onto an adjoining property, but not onto a neighboring property, is permitted for a single consecutive 2-hour period on the following days and times: Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., Saturday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., Sunday, 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. And I know one of the things that's really been discussed for the past few months is trying to strike that balance. Is it going to be 1 day a week? Is it going to be 2 days a week? What are going to be the time frames? Monday through Saturday, is 9 a.m. to 7? Is that appropriate? Should it be 9 a.m. to 9? And so, these are all open for discussion. If we want to change the time frame, if we want to change the number of times a week, that's certainly something. It does try to, because we're using the plainly audible standard instead of a decibel standard, it tries to regulate that by saying the noise can be heard on an adjoining property, which is a contiguous boundary, but not onto a neighboring property. So it does try to control the decibel level in that sense without actually having a decibel level. It also tries to control the time period for it being a single consecutive 2-hour period. I know we had discussed at one point having various carve-outs for a single musician or a full live band, and in talking with residents and talking with police chief, it really was not a workable situation to do it that way. So this is what we landed on. Of course, the 1 day, the 2 day, the hours, those are all open for discussion. What I also included as 10 is to make it clear that live music, recorded music, or the spoken word on any property located in the C, C1, C2, SC, or T zoning districts that is not plainly audible on any adjoining property or neighboring property is also not a noise disturbance. And I don't think it's really necessary to put that in there, but I wanted it to be clear that no one is saying that you can't play music, you can't have a band, you can't have the spoken word on your property in any of these districts. It just can't be flowing over into adjoining properties. So you can play as much music as you want. You could, whether it's a live band, whether it's recorded music, whether it's the spoken word, as much as you want, as long as it's not going onto someone else's property. So that's kind of how we landed on this. You know, it is a noise disturbance unless it falls into one of these categories. So if there's a property, and again, there was some discussion here about, or some comments about a particular property or a particular business, but just to be clear, this pertains to any property in the C, the C1, the C2, the SC, or the T zoning districts. It's not targeted at any particular property, it's any property within those zoning districts.
Yeah, I think the one thing also that all of these clean up is the amplified noise ordinance that we currently have, the special event noise or ordinance that we currently have that confuses the crap out of everybody, right? This gets rid of those. This also gives businesses the opportunity to have live music one day a week that might be a little louder without getting approval from the town every time they want to do it. So,
Right. Yeah, and I think the discussion that we've had over the past few months is, well, does it matter if it's amplified noise or not amplified noise? Does it matter if it's recorded or live? Just the issue is it noise? So yeah, that was kind of what we were getting at.
is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2026-10.
I'll second that.
All right, Doug, any comments?
Overall, I agree with Matt. I would like to just go through and confirm that we're, as a council, that we're good with the number of occurrences, the hours and durations on the day and the days, just to go recap that. Because it does kind of flow, it will flow into some of the discussion in the next ordinance, which is 2611, which is the events and the frequency of those events and how many are permitted on an annual basis and the spacing of those events. We don't have to do both at the same time. I just recognize that one inherently influences the other. So speaking out of both sides of that mouth, because I pushed back a little bit on the earlier versions with regards to how many hours and those type of things. So one suggestion would be if we would consider allowing for a second night of the week, non-consecutive with the exception of Friday. Friday, you could do Friday and Saturday nights for 2 hours as one proposal. I'm welcome to any pushback. It is just a suggestion. I'll leave it at that for the time being as we get started.
John?
No, I just always go back to enforcement. I mean, so you're gonna have a police officer out there with a little book saying, okay, today is, Saturday. Okay, this noise is permissible. So I'd like to make it as simple as possible for, not make too many, but just make it as simple as possible for the person that's going out there to have to actually, where the rubber meets the road and has to enforce this.
So you have a suggestion?
No, I
Okay.
kind of like what I'm seeing here. There's 3 specific.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying that you wanted something different than this.
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I support this as is because it seems pretty simple and easy to understand.
Gotcha. Carrie?
I agree. I think these times are actually more conducive to our residents than our previous, which was 9 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday was 10 p.m. So I think this is actually better serves our residents that live in the residential areas that surround some of these affected businesses. So I think I like this.
And you guys are good with 1 day a week? Doug mentioned possibly as a suggestion. I mean, I'm good with 1 day a week.
Yeah, I'm good with 1 day a week.
Okay.
The only other topic I would bring up is, it's Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Saturday, 10 to 10 p.m. Is there any consideration for making Friday night 9 p.m. and Saturday bringing it from 10 to 9? I'm just thinking of it logistically from an operational standpoint. 7 p.m. on a Friday night seems early. You could even argue that 7 p.m. on a Monday through Thursday night's early, but I'm not up here to negotiate business hours either.
I guess that depends on where you are in life. Yeah. So
I mean, 10 o'clock gets kind of late, just to be clear, John.
but no, I agree. I think maybe, another weekend night, to Doug's point, maybe making that till 9 or 10 p.m. on Friday night, just like Saturday.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
You still only get the one occurrence a week on for 2 hours basis. Then you can, again, and most places aren't open or even alive after 9 o'clock. Even Long Dog, you drive by at 9 o'clock and it's pretty dead, so.
Anything else? All right, public comment.
What are the times you?
Oh, so it would be, it's basically, Friday would be the, well, did we want to talk, I don't know if we just make it Friday, Saturday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. I think that's fine. Nobody's doing anything before 10 a.m. anyways. I think that'd probably be simpler in terms of
Okay.
just,
Yeah, I agree. If Carrie's good with that, just make that, instead of just saying Saturday, just say Friday and Saturday. So Monday through Thursday, Sunday's a standalone day.
Yeah.
Public comment. Katie.
Kitty Lowe, 411 Third Avenue. So I'm trying to understand where, when he was reading that any noise during the week, you can play amplified, you can not play amplified, and then one day out of the week, you're allowed to, how are we going to know
No,
what day it is?
well, if
You know?
if it's something that you can hear over the property line and adjoining property, it's a noise disturbance. But
Anytime.
But we've carved out one day of the week that the property owner can have recorded music, live music, or spoken word that does go over to the adjoining property line for a period of 2 hours during these time periods. And that would be acceptable one day of the week.
And how are we, as, say they're doing it on a Friday night, or,
Right.
and then they do it again on a Saturday night, and then they do it on Thursday night.
Right.
How are we going to know if it's an adjoining, it's the day that they get the 2 hours for free?
What do you mean?
How's the residents that it might flow over into their space, how are they supposed to know what day is their 2 hours?
it's no different than a special
It
event.
doesn't sound any
Right.
different than you can have music anytime.
Well, no, because it's only for 2 hours, one day a week, not any time.
So
But-
operationally,
I know.
so just hear me out. So operationally, if as it exists today, if somebody starts playing music and none of the town police or other staff are around, we are unaware of it. You have to call that and that noise complaint. Just let me finish. As an example, that's today. If we were to pass this and it was in effect and it was Thursday night and they were playing music, the officer, you would call it in, just like you would any other time. And then the officer would go make sure that they were within their right to play that music in the right zone and not going beyond an adjoining property into a neighboring property. And if it's within their 2 hours, they could let the business owner know, you are allowed 2 hours once a week, this is your 2 hours. And they would inform you, because you would be talking to the code enforcement officer. But there's no way for you to know ahead of time, because we're not.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody's going to call me and tell me, don't call.
But if they make a noise violation either way, the only way for code enforcement to know there is a code violation is by being called and notified, unless in the rare circumstances they
Yeah,
have
I
to be
mean, I
driving
have no
by.
plans to call, but I don't have plans to sit around and listen to noise all day either,
But
It's
there
just-
was-
I'm just saying, I have never called, I don't plan on calling, but I know this is why we're here, because somebody did not abide by the ordinance as is,
Understand, so
as it was written.
without the participation of the residents in notifying the code enforcement officer of a violation, the opportunity to enforce the code is lost. We do not have a noise police that go around.
I know you
sending
don't.
out. But we do
But you
enforce the rules when notified, and we do let the business owners know.
And to answer your question specifically on
Yeah.
if there's a noise ordinance violation or a call, the police do an incredible job of
understand that.
documenting
They've
that. So
helped
if
me out
something
many
happened on
times.
Thursday, to your question, if it's 2 nights during the week, that's how it'll be tracked. There's a noise complaint called in on Thursday night, and then Friday night, the same business, same location, that's the 2 nights. That's the violation right there. So to Doug's point, the citizens have got to get more engaged in calling. Call law enforcement so they can document it, so then we can track it.
Yeah,
Make
but I
sense?
don't like,
Right, Chief. Let's get Chiefs. I mean, you want people to call. I mean,
So I'll simplify it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, yeah, if you called us, or a neighbor calls and says, oh, they're being loud, and we look at it and go, okay, well, they got their 2 hours, tonight's their one night, then we can look it up. It's gonna be a little bit more burdensome because we're going over to a different dispatch system, but, because now we just call and say, hey, do we have any violations? But the officer has in their car, it's a mobile data terminal. They can look at all the calls.
Yeah.
They could say, okay, we were out there Thursday night, and this, I've already taken the note. Officers are going to have to check address history for prior calls within a 7-day week from Sunday to Saturday, and calls for the day for oncoming officers. So the officers come on duty, we get a call at 123 South Street, and we go, okay, are they allowed to do this because they haven't done it the rest of the week? Let me look up, CAD calls, blah, blah, blah. They haven't done it. Here's their 2-day thing. They close out the call and they say, all right, we got the notification. Then the officers, when they come in, we do a daily blotter, a daily log. So the officers read them, they know what calls have come in, things like that too. So there is a way to look it up. There's a way for us to keep track of it. If you don't call it, we don't know.
Right.
Unless we hear, you know,
We don't want to just.
a violation. I understand, Kitty, but that goes for anybody, and if they call us, then we do have the means to track that. We have the means to look
Okay,
that up,
well,
and they go,
then I mean, I don't plan on, I just think that part where you got one day a week where you can do 2 hours is a little confusing too. You can do it anytime, anyway.
you know, whether your neighbor
You know.
called or not is moot.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
doesn't have a dog in this fight. It's,
Okay, well.
you won't know that. We will.
Right, okay.
Chief, now that we're going to county, is there going to be a non-emergency number off business hours?
723-7788. The number will be the same.
And somebody will answer that
Okay.
Yes.
24 hours a day?
100%.
Okay. So, and do you prefer 911 for noise, or does it make?
No, I'd rather,
Okay.
please. If you
Just making
If you
sure.
want Wayne Ivy showing up at your house personally, call 911.
Well, now that was my next question, now that we're changing, right. All right. Any other public comment? All right. Oh, Carly.
Carly Senegoy, 113 Franklin Ave. I like the Friday, Saturday, 9 p.m. or what? 9 p.m. is fine. I don't
Yeah.
know, like if it's two consecutive, the Friday or Saturday together would
Yep.
be.
Yeah, I think that was the
good.
change,
And-
Friday or Saturday to 10 p.m.
Okay, sounds good.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Any other public comment?
Jose Soto, 290 Paradise Boulevard, number 3. Just wanted to clarify, I did get some additional information that there are other businesses that are involved. That was not known to me, but they seem to be quite afar from a business that I'm concerned about, which is Casa Bonita. I don't know that there's a ruckus going on, people exercising or live bands with major amplification. But regardless, it seems that Casa Bonita is kind of caught in the crosshairs trying to resolve another problem which is not focused on that business. You know, every time that a restriction is placed, it closes doors, and every closed door limits opportunities, and every limited opportunity affects, in the case of a small business, the bottom line. So I would just encourage you to be as ample as you can in providing, letting small businesses thrive. What a wonderful presentation about the boardwalk. Do you think that's going to bring some noise down here? No?
There's nothing to bring noise to the boardwalk. But to your point about this is actually easing restrictions because Casa Bonita is actually
Good.
operating outside of the zoning right now with multiple things.
Okay.
Continually.
So,
This is
Good to know.
This is expanding the ability to do that.
Wonderful. And the other thing is...
Not just for that business, but for any business or any property in
Yeah,
those.
there
zoning
aren't many businesses down there. I mean, 7-Eleven is one that's open quite often. I don't I don't see much happening there. But Councilmember Foy, you mentioned that there are concerns about revenue. Well, I would just encourage you to remember that revenue is also important to the private sector and small businesses. An hour here, cutting an hour on a Friday night or 2 hours on a Friday night could make the difference between breaking even or making a little bit of a profit. So I just, you have an opportunity to, yes, make rules, but don't make them such that they inhibit a small business from thriving. And I think there's ways to do that, and I think you are quite far along in this decision. As a taxpayer, I would say, Chief Connor, I would prefer you looking for speeders, looking for shoplifters, looking for those people.
Sure, when we annex Paradise Boulevard, we'll be happy to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, as opposed to noise ordinances. Noise ordinances are not at the top of my priority as a resident of this community. And I am on the end, you know, I'm ready for bed at 7:30, but I don't mind if someone is, you know, active and wanting to celebrate something at some point past 9 and up to 10 o'clock. So, thank you, I really appreciate
All
it.
right, thank you.
You don't have an easy decision. Thank you for considering.
Thank you.
No, it was a gnat.
I'm trying to catch a fly, that's all.
Any other public comment?
And I would just add what was already said, that this actually expands the ability of businesses in these zoning districts.
Okay.
Right, and if I may add, we will have an expectation that every small business, whether you're nestled in the tourist district or commercial or RP, residential professional, that there is going to be an expectation that you follow the ordinances because we've expanded them for the community and for our support of small businesses. And we will expect these businesses to follow the rules.
We're not expanding for RP.
Pardon me?
We're not expanding for RP.
Yeah, the RP zone is unaffected, so.
Just don't want that misconception.
Updating.
You guys ready to vote? All right, all those in favor of approving ordinance 2026-10 with the change from Friday and Saturday until 10 p.m., say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right.
Making progress.
We are. This somewhat related, special events in private on private and public property. So ordinance 2026-11, first reading, public hearing relating to the application for and issuance of a permit for special events on private and public property. An ordinance of the Town of Indialantic, Brevard County, Florida, amending sections 22-57 and 22-58 and 22-59 of the Indialantic Code of Ordinances relating to the application for and issuance of a permit for special events on private and public property, providing for implementation, providing for severability, providing for conflict, and providing for an effective date. Matt.
Okay, so this is for the whole second division, which was formerly entitled, or currently is titled, sound amplification equipment. And what we've done is we've renamed it special events. Before, they had a permit application for the use of sound amplifying equipment for both private parcels and public parcels into one ordinance. We split that up so that you have in section 2257 special events on private property, and then in 2258 special events on public property. And instead of having a separate statute that includes the hours of restriction for when you can have it on public property, we just morphed it into that. So instead of now having one statute that talks about permits for both private and public, and then there's a second statute that talks about the application, and a third statute that talks about time restrictions, we've simplified it to just, for special events, you've got an ordinance about special events on private property and an ordinance about special events on public property. And so the first one, what we've changed is it takes out the sound amplification issue, because as we did with the noise disturbance, it doesn't matter if it's sound amplification or if it's a live band or if it's spoken word. It's just the idea that there's noise onto an adjoining property. And so it starts out with saying, well, you have that exception in 2235, which we just discussed, about the 1 day a week for 2 hours at a time during certain time periods. If you want to do more than that, an owner of a private property can seek permission to have a special event a total of 6 times, 1 calendar year, spacing it out. There must be 1 month in between. So if you do it in January, you can do the next one in March. You can't do January, February. And then it just lists the information for the application, such as the name, the zoning district, the name and address of who's going to be engaging in it, the nature of the event, the hours of the operation. And that's essentially what it is for the private property. There was a suggestion that I do think makes sense to add in there, that we did add in the public property, was also limiting the hours for days of the week, and the fact that, not the fact, but the idea that a special event can be no more than 2 consecutive days. That was some feedback we got from this proposal. I think it makes sense to include that. And then with respect to the second ordinance, the special events on public property, that's something that can be twice in a calendar year, and that also goes through the criteria. What's the location, the town park, the purpose, the hours of operation, proof of insurance because it's public property, a hold harmless indemnification for the town, and those types of things. So we split it into special events on private property, special events on public property, and that's how it's been broken down.
Yeah, I think after discussions with Matt, the private property one is kind of a formality / rubber stamp, because the ordinance limits to 6 per year, right? So, yeah, the current one, it's unlimited. That's why it comes to us. Do we want to allow it or whatever, you know? Where this one, it's already limited to 6. So do we really? There's no real reason to deny it. It's the business informing the town, hey, I'm exceeding the ordinance up to 6 hours, if that makes sense. I don't think it does for you, Doug.
Sorry, I just didn't get that part when I was going through it. That's fine. No,
Right.
appreciate it. We can talk through it.
Also, I had in mind, and correct me if I'm wrong, and if you guys want to change it or add it, to me, this permit would only, it would have to still maintain the hours and days of the previous,
Okay.
of the other one.
Yeah.
In terms of like Friday night, Saturday night,
Right.
no later than the pre-stated hours
Right.
of 10 p.m.
Right, exactly.
at night.
Yeah, I know we had discussed that, and I know there was some feedback from some residents about that, and I think that makes sense. And there was also the discussion about whether or not to have a special event limited to 2 consecutive days, and that was something we could add as well.
Yeah, I thought it was still, in my mind, it was just 1 day still.
Okay.
But I don't know how y'all thought.
Okay.
So anyway, do we have a motion before we talk?
I'll make a motion to approve 2026-11.
I'll second it.
All right, Doug, any comments?
So for the private property, which is, this would apply specifically to which zones, including all zones, or
it
just
would-
the commercials and?
It's just C, C1, C2, T, and SC.
Okay, I just want to make sure I was correct on that.
Yep.
So again, it would be just those zones, so it's not residential, it's not RP.
Correct.
So in this instance, this would be in addition to or in special events outside of the 2-hour, once a week opportunity, or exceedance that is permitted. I agree with Mayor Mark that I believe the special event should be one occurrence, especially if we're gonna say it's gonna be almost an automatic approval, such that we could discuss maybe allowing the town manager to approve it without having council approval, such that if there was additional considerations for a longer one, we would need to take that before council or some other means and methods. I'm not comfortable just ad hoc allowing 6 2-day events, if you will, take it to the extreme, for 6 hours a day or whatever the limit might be. The other thing I would potentially, I'd want to have a discussion on is I don't disagree with the 6 events per calendar year. It's the particular wording in the ordinance as it's written is a month, and there has to be a month between. Is that, so if I have it, say you have it January 1st on New Year's Day, but you want to have one on Valentine's Day, February 14th, technically you are not, that's not allowed, but it's been more than 30 calendar days, so in my perspective, that's okay. It gives you a little more flexibility. It establishes that gap so you can't have it one weekend after the next, as an example. And if you wanted to do, St. Patty's Day, that's 17 days after, whatever, anyway. So I would think doing 30 calendar days versus 1 month establishes the same objective, but maybe allows a little bit more flexibility just to avoid overly constraining. And obviously, all of these can be changed if we decide that down the road that we like it one way versus the other, so be it.
Yeah, I think that's valid. I mean, the idea with the, one every other month was so that somebody doesn't save them up for 6 months and have
Yeah,
6
agree.
months in a row, so.
Agree.
Yeah,
So we
that
can
was
establish
the
whatever
purpose.
that minimum is. It could be 45 days. I don't know, I just pick something I like days better than a month because it just allows.
Right, is it a calendar month? Is it 30 days? Is it 4 weeks? Yeah.
Yeah, and then in terms of public property, this doesn't really change anything we've already established. It's 2 events per year, rather than, again, same comment, I think we said 180 days. I think maybe we can bring that in, you're still 2 events a year, maybe you could do, 90 days, 120 days, whatever, just pick a number. I think 180 is, that's a pretty big span. I think we could allow for something that's a little bit less than that if we wanted to.
Real quick, Mike?
Yeah, on the public events, I was gonna bring this up, and sometimes if we have art shows and stuff, they're 2-day events in a row. So, I mean.
So for the public park, I would say that's a good point. So
Yeah.
public property, those would still come before the council. At least I would like to keep those before the council, especially if we're going to allow for up to 2 days continuous, to your point. I
Yeah.
think that's a valid carve-out for public property. For private, I think we'll wait and see.
Is it worth, I'll admit, I'm not completely familiar with what's proposed for the public property. Is it worth, I guess, distinguishing between like something with live music versus not live music? So, you could have a one day event with live music, or if you want to have 2-day, or hell, you could have a 4-day if it doesn't have live music.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, as it reads now, the public property one as an individual entity is only permitted to conduct a special event with sound amplifying equipment in a town park or other public area. So it really does pertain to, at least with the fly.
The fly is making
Yeah.
it. Started with the yoga, came over here.
With the with the public property one, it does pertain to the sound amplifying equipment, but I mean, we can certainly amend that.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, because right now, I never thought of it that way. I always thought of it like as we have to have additional planning, right? We have to close the park down. We have to make sure they have the right insurance. So there's some legwork that goes into it, as well as additional services that the town will provide potentially for that activity. So therefore, that's all around that. The sound amplification happens to be included, but that's the way I view it. Whether you have sound amplification or not, I think a special event is still a special event, whether you're running a 5K or an art show or having a concert.
Okay.
In my opinion.
John?
Yeah, to Doug's point about the month, I would prefer it be changed to 30 calendar days between each special event, just based on the example he gave, because there are certain times of the year where you could have an event on the first of a month or first week of a month, and then you want to have something on the second week of another one. So my preference would be 30 calendar days rather than a month. Other than that, I have nothing.
How about 45? Because if you did just 30, then you could have 6 in a row, 6 months, right? By this way, the way it's written now, it's basically 60 days apart, right?
Well, and that also gets into an issue with Thanksgiving and Christmas, because they're likely going to be 30 days, within the same 30-day period.
I don't think we're gonna, I mean, I think if you just put 30 days in there, I mean,
Okay.
and they're limited to 6.
Yeah,
And if it becomes a problem, we can go back and look at it, change it.
I hope not.
And again, this is in addition to the exception. So if you want to have, a Halloween party, you still have that 2-hour window every week. If you want to have a Thanksgiving party, you still have that 2-hour window. If you want to have something for Christmas, you still have that 2-hour window. So this is in addition to that.
Gotcha.
Carrie?
I'm okay with 30 days.
Doug, you like 30 days?
Yeah, I mean, we can obviously change it if it becomes a problem, so. And all the same, so just to be clear, all the same, even though they can have the event, all the same amplification in terms of the neighboring property, but not on, or adjoining property. Does it allow for neighboring properties as well, or just adjoining?
Well, let's see, plainly audible on an adjoining property or a neighboring property.
So from a special event standpoint, this would allow for additional noise as opposed to the carve out for once a week. So,
Potentially louder.
yeah, potentially louder, to your point, you know. I don't know that there's that many, opportunities or businesses that will engage in that, but.
Well, I know also, there's been, some people brought up, including a distance, which you addressed earlier, but I think just naturally, music, once it gets to a certain point, it becomes unenjoyable. So it can only be so loud. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like you're going to be broadcasting for half a mile and people are going to be just jamming out. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, that's the neighboring, where that delineation is defined.
Right.
At the discretion of the code enforcement officer.
that it?
Yeah.
Public comment? Carly?
Carly Sinagoy, 113 Franklin. I agree with the 30 days because it's only so many beautiful months out of the year. March, February, we know the months that are really nice for festivals and gatherings, art shows and that stuff. So I think that you guys are on the right track with the 30 days.
Cool, thank you. Anybody else? All right, all those in favor of approving ordinance 2026-11 relating to the application for issuance of a permit for special events on private and public property. Just to be clear, it's two different permits now. Or with this, it's two different permits.
So Matt, are you clear on the?
That's what I was just going to ask, yeah. So we're changing it from 1 calendar month to 30 calendar days for the private property one. And then we are limiting it to the private property one for 1 day, 6-hour limit, and using the same hours as in the previous ordinance.
Correct. That's
Yes.
that's my understanding.
Yes, that's my,
Yes, that's what I understood.
And then with respect to the public property, it was just going to be a special event. We were eliminating the sound amplifying equipment. It was just, hey, this is going to be the special event, and we were going to make it up to 2 days.
Correct. I don't, it could allow for sound amplification equipment, right? I'm just to be clear.
But you don't need a special permit for that. Is that where we're?
Well, I would think you still would, yes.
but
Okay.
you would need an event permit, not a special amplified sound.
No, sorry, yeah. So it would be in the special event permit, you would need to ask for the amplification equipment as part of that, not
Okay.
as separate. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so it reads the way it's proposed to read is the town may issue a permit to an individual or entity to use sound amplifying equipment to conduct a special event in a town park or other public area.
I think that's fine. I mean, you can.
And that would go before council?
Yeah, so that was the other thing I was gonna ask. Sorry,
right.
Mark.
No, it's all good.
Was with the private,
Mm-hmm.
do we want to delegate approval authority to the town manager? And
I'm okay with that. I don't know, Mike, if you want to push it on to us.
It's not a winning situation either way, so whatever.
Well,
you want.
with bringing the cadence or the
Yeah.
gap into 30 days, it could easily be a situation where you fall between or don't have enough time to get on a council agenda.
Yeah, that's what we asked for. Yeah, I would still ask for it because we'd have to let all the departments sign off on it and everything too. So at least, have a 30-day notice on the private property ones, If something happens, we can see if we work, but normally we get people come something like the day before wanting to do a special event permit. And it should be something that's planned out.
Yeah, and I think if it was the situation you're contemplating, where it's New Year's and then a Valentine's and a St. Patty's Day one, the business would probably know that they were going to, yeah.
Oops.
Yeah.
They're not going to get the attendance.
It's not like a week before, they're going to say, yeah, well. So.
You got a New Year's party, a Valentine's party, St. Patrick's party, then you've got an Easter party, now you got a memorial party.
Yeah, now you're out of parties,
Yeah.
you know. I guess that's only 5, but yeah.
Go a bit early, Mark.
Huh?
Go a bit early.
Yeah.
And the only, sorry, I know I'm dragging you back, but with the public event, do we want to keep it at 180 days?
1 every 180?
Or do we want to bring that number down, similar to the discussion on 30 days?
Well,
I don't know if we ever have any instances of something more than once a year.
well,
We've had art shows used to be twice a year, but we haven't had any of those in a couple of years.
I know there's, you know, there have been a couple residents that have talked to me about bringing a first Friday event, you know, to Nance Park.
Or that, we can address that separately, I would imagine.
I don't know, Matt, can we?
What was it?
There have been a couple residents that wanted to bring like a First Friday to Nance Park, you know, First Friday event. Are you familiar with that? It's just a, you know, community get-together, food trucks.
Okay.
You know, sometimes it has, you know, live music or whatever. So, and it's every Friday. First Friday of every month.
Okay.
You know, so would we be able to make an allowance for that with this ordinance? Or would that group be limited to the 2 a year or whatever?
Well, I mean, the way it reads now, if it's on public property, then yeah, it would be limited to twice a year.
Yeah. I mean, right now, it's not a thing, so
That's true.
I would say let's put that on the to-do list when it gets to the top, but that's my opinion.
Okay,
Yes.
you good with that? All right, yeah, we can figure that out later, not tonight. So,
Are we leaving the private with the town council's approval, or the town manager can approve?
I say we leave it to town manager, and if he has time, he can give it to us.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gives me the authority, but I can actually pass it along to you all if it's a hot potato.
Exactly.
All right, so all those in favor, does this count as a first reading still, or?
Yeah, this is a first reading. Yeah, we can make amendments to it after
Okay.
first reading, as long as it doesn't substantially change it.
Yeah, so I guess that was a better question. This is not considered a substantial change.
I would agree with that, yeah.
Okay. So all those in favor of approving 2026-11 with the changes discussed, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Unanimous. All right. Ordinance 2026-12, first reading, public hearing relating to prohibited uses in the C and C1 commercial district. An ordinance of the town of Indialantic, Brevard County, Florida, amending sections 113-336, subsection 3 of the Indialantic zoning code relating to the prohibited uses in C and C1 commercial districts, providing for implementation, providing for severability, providing for conflict, and providing for an effective date. Matt, you're the man of the evening?
I guess so, for better or worse, I guess. So for C and C1 commercial districts, this is another thing that we've had discussions about over the past few months. As it currently stands, outdoor business activities are prohibited. And at the last meeting, I ran through several drafts to determine what might be workable to allow certain outdoor business activities. And everyone had agreed on, or at least the consensus was, to move forward with a proposed ordinance with certain language in it. And so this was the language that I landed on, and this is what's in the proposed ordinance. Outdoor business activities are prohibited unless, one, the outdoor business activities occur within an enclosed outdoor area on the property, such as a courtyard or fenced-in area, and two, such outdoor business activities are directly related to the type of business being operated at that location. Under no circumstances may outdoor business activities be conducted at any time in a parking lot or other parking area. Such outdoor business activities remain subject to and must comply with all other provisions of the town's code of ordinances, including, but not limited to, the noise ordinances contained in sections 2231 through 2259. So it does allow certain outdoor business activities, but as was the concern, it limits it to enclosed outdoor areas, again, such as a courtyard or fenced-in area. And the outdoor business activity has to be related to the business that is operating there. And you can't do it in a parking lot, you can't do it in a parking area. And I think the concern was with that second portion, that there has to be some nexus to the business, that some crazy things could be occurring. So that hopefully the intent of it is to limit what you're able to do.
Right.
But at the same time, still allow some outdoor business activity in the C and C1 zones.
Right, so you can't have a bank with like a sheep shearing business in the backyard.
I would agree.
Right, okay. It gets loud.
And sheep.
Bah.
Goat yoga.
Huh?
Goat yoga.
Yeah, goat yoga. Yeah, not outside a bank, right? All right, so is there a motion?
Sorry. I'll make a motion to approve 2026-12. Were you on 12?
Yeah, we
Going
are
through
12,
this,
2026-12, yeah.
I'll second it.
Doug, any comments?
It's a good start, but I still am concerned on a couple fronts, one of which, do we define the outdoor business activities related to like something definitive, like the business license associated with it? How do we like define that as opposed to leaving it up to maybe something anyway. And then directly related, and then I'm still concerned with a business activity that is permitted in the CC1 so forth zone, and being on their business license, setting up an outside thing that in no way would we ever anticipate, but an appliance repair shop, so to speak, or something like that. Or if there's anything that has to do with the appearance or upkeep and those type of things. I just don't want to invite that that type of activity into the well-intentioned that we're trying to do here.
Can you give us an example? Because I'm not tracking.
No, so if you go through the list, and I don't have it in front of me for the C1 zone in terms of the permitted uses.
Okay.
There are a plethora of permitted uses, including a 10-cent shop or 5-cent. Anyway, so in theory, they could have stuff in their area outside, and there's nowhere here that says they have to clean it up on a nightly basis, such as, so you could leave something outside, whether it's supposed to be or not, I comment.
Is that a problem now in the town somewhere?
No, but again, this is our opportunity to define it, at least in the context that's appropriate, so that we don't get into a situation.
So for example,
Finding solutions for problems we don't have.
I'm
just asking
Yeah,
the
no, so
question.
I would rather define, so to your point, I would rather define the intent, the types of outdoor uses that we would like to permit.
Exactly.
As opposed to trying to,
So we're going to come up with a list?
well, there is a list,
No, I see the list here.
yeah, no, these are the prohibited ones.
Right, no, I get it.
Fair enough.
Right, no,
but the ordinance has,
those are prohibited. So we're going to come up with a list of allowed?
well, the current ordinance has a list of allowed.
Okay.
Right, so then
I don't have it in front of me, but yeah.
then you would pick from that list which ones have outdoor permitted activities.
So I think, like, to Doug's point, I don't know if, like, lawnmower repair shop is one of the allowed, but say it is. Are we going to require all the lawnmowers to be brought in every night? Or are we going to let it look like a junkyard every night?
Well, it's a prohibited use, can I say this? But like, I'd be concerned over, it says right now, prohibited use are drive-ins, diners, barbecue stands, open-air restaurants, and similar establishments. And so a special event, they start serving food outside and things. It's a prohibited use in part of the other ordinance. Now you're saying, I don't know how they'll tie it into their business license or anything, but I could see it happening. I did just pull out one of them from there. So I think it should be limited to, whatever their use are. They wouldn't be licensed and allowed, if they were a restaurant, they couldn't have outdoor, but all of a sudden now we're allowing outdoor activity. I guess maybe with Matt, as we're trying to figure this out and the uses and stuff, and not get down into the, the weird areas and stuff. But it should be some type of relied with their business tax receipt, they're licensed in that business, and should have it related. They're a haircutting salon and they're having a wedding outside. That shouldn't be.
Yeah, if they're a massage parlor and they want to set up a tent in a nice backyard and do that, okay, maybe that's fine, just as another example. But it just needs to be consistent with I think everybody's on the same page, at least mentally, I think everybody's on the same page. I just think we need to put it on the page.
Yeah.
In terms of what we want to be there, and not necessarily go the other way.
Well, I think that's what this GG, this subparagraph GG kind of covers, right? I mean, it doesn't come up with a list, but it,
Yeah, but the counterpoint, I think, John, if we went through the list of what's permitted and said, okay, if somebody came in here, whether they would do or don't, it's not, I agree, right now it's not a problem, but things, anyway. Would there be something on that list that we'd want to prohibit? So therefore, by not going through in the negative, we could go through in the positive.
I mean, I think your concern, if I understand it correctly, is, you know, you're looking at a restaurant, and they might have an area where they might serve drinks outside, and, you know, that might be the intent of this, to allow for that type of outdoor activity. But if you have, as the town manager used an example, you know, a barber shop, would they then be able to, you know, have people sitting out in barber shop chairs out front cutting hair all day? And, you know, is that the concern? That, because it still would be direct,
Essentially, yeah.
it would be directly related to the business.
Yeah. I'm not to call it, but we do have restaurants that have outdoor seating, whether it's
Right.
cafe on street side or otherwise, and that may or may not be permitted. It
Right.
already, as it's currently written, this would be in addition to that, but potentially other things.
I think we talked about this briefly last month, and I mean, Doug, no disrespect, but why don't you come back next month with a list? So we can discuss it.
I'd be happy to. I'm just not really, I don't feel comfortable moving forward because I do think it would be a substantive change in terms of the ordinance, and maybe that's fine, and it just becomes the second and third reading.
I have the list. It goes through O of approved businesses. If you want me to read all 70.
I'm not up for that challenge. But I'm more than happy to do that. I just ran out of.
We got a lot of prohibited things, so we're gonna have a list of prohibited, we're gonna have a list of permitted, and, you know, if I'm a business coming to this town, I'm just like, where do I fit in this matrix? So,
Don't disagree. I don't want to make it overly complicated, and that's my hesitation. It's been done before elsewhere. I know it has been. It's just a matter of finding that reference point and bringing it forward here.
yeah, I'd be happy to wait a month and listen to the list of permitted items.
I mean, if we're going to edit the ordinance, we might as well maybe strive for just 00 on the permitted list. I know there's things on there that no longer exist as businesses, valid businesses in today's economy.
Television sales, stereo center.
Anyway, but
Tire recapping?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been a busy man, Matt, so I'm not despairing.
No, it can certainly be reworked, and we can bring it back next month.
And I did say I would do that last month, and I did not, so.
So we're gonna have, just so we're clear, we're gonna have a list of prohibited items, and then next month, you're gonna come with a list of what you think should be permitted items.
I need to take a run at it. I can't say that the permitted items may not all be permitted to have an outdoor use, though, I guess is what an outdoor business activity.
Right, again, but you want a list of what's permitted. In your ideal world, you'd have a list of what's permitted.
With outdoor business activity.
Okay, all right. So again, I'm struggling to figure out what that is, but if you come with a couple examples next month, I'd be more than happy to entertain it.
Anything else to add, John? You're good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Carrie?
I think we need to live in the world of black and white. So I agree with what you said 100%, Doug. I think we need to have a specific list of, yes, you can do this in these zones. And just out of curiosity, if we have a black and white list of what these permitted items are, then what's the need to say, isn't it implied that everything else, if these are okay, then isn't it implied that everything else is prohibited? Why do we have to go through and do a whole list of what's prohibited? Because there's your gray area right there.
Yeah.
Well, it's not on the list, so therefore I can do it.
I can't speak to the relevancy of why there's a prohibited list and
There
00.
shouldn't be. I don't think there should be.
Yeah,
I think
that's
if
that's a good point.
this is what you can do, then
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
And then everything else, it's implied that it's prohibited. And then that way, there's no ambiguity.
Yeah, there's terms on there that go back to
Prohibited list.
There's language in there that
60s and 70s in
says,
there.
right now, if it's not listed on this list, then it's a prohibited use. That's currently that's our language for prohibited uses. If it's
The other
not
way.
there, then it's a prohibited use. If it's not an approved one.
Yeah.
Say that again. If it's not in the, if it's on the prohibited list,
If you get all the way down to the end, it says, all uses which are not permitted uses are prohibited.
But then we have a list of prohibited uses.
It's at the bottom of the prohibited uses, that one. So it's basically saying if it's not on the list of permitted uses. So, yeah. So, I mean, you could add,
Yeah.
Guess what's not on the list? Nude sunbathing. Nude sunbathing is not on the prohibited list, so guess what? That could be done. And I don't think anybody wants that.
not as a business.
Yeah.
Got to run for reelection here, come on.
I just like it to be specific, and then anything else is,
Or yes, in that zone.
is prohibited.
barbecue. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
I'll be glad to work with Matt and look at the entirety of the prohibited and permitted use to see if there's other adjustments that should be made in addition to this
So
adjustment.
do we want to table that?
Is that the appropriate action?
Yes.
Table it for tonight, so it'll be first reading next month?
Yes.
Second first reading?
Sorry.
No. Well,
No, that's it.
All right.
Do I need to make a motion for that?
yeah, I would make a motion to table the first reading until next month after we've amended this, so we can make it a little bit more clear and look at for exactly what it is you're looking for.
I'll make the motion to table ordinance 2026-12 first reading for further reflection and
And I'll second it to find out what we're looking for.
Thanks, Bob.
All right. All those in favor of tabling 2026-12, say aye.
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 All opposed. All right. Unfinished business, discuss special event application fee code update. No, talk to me later. Talk to me later, Kitty. We're going to be here a while.
Kitty, 411 Third Avenue. Okay. the
Talk to me
fence,
later, Kitty.
Do they have to have the fence, do they have a fence?
Yeah. Yeah.
A fence? Are they having a
We're-
fence? And then a food trucks?
We'll talk about that later. Unfinished business, discuss special event application fee update. Mike.
So basically, we talked about having, it cost us a lot of staff time to get these special permits between approving everything. And we're the only city, I believe, Molly, can address this. We did a survey and what they're charging for different special events. I'm not asking, like, a block party takes nothing from us. Public Works going out there. Like Melbourne charges for that $25. But when we start getting these special events, we're having to bring full counsel, legal, and everything else. There should be some type of expenses with it. And we're asking to write a resolution, which we're allowed to do, to come up with a rate. And we just kind of gave some examples in here.
Okay.
Just, that's what we're looking for, approval to go write a resolution.
All right. So,
Well, I guess for Matt to write a special event ordinance, to include a special event application fee and anything like required for special event permitting. We've kind of talked about special event permitting in here, but maybe we can,
sure.
add on to it.
Yep. Is there a motion from council or do you even need a motion from us? I mean, consensus is good, right?
Maybe just a straw poll, if everybody's okay with that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm good with whatever.
I have the authority to have them work on it.
You good?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. The only question I had was, do we want to do ordinance, resolution, or something that's more easily updatable going forward?
Yeah.
I think we've been doing resolutions as opposed to ordinances to allow for
Yeah,
that.
we write the ordinance, we've been trying to do resolutions now, instead of having them read over
Okay.
ordinance each time.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with that. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, we have new business. We have discussed revising section 113-401, commercial landscaping, sustainable community and resiliency committee. Vinny, you want to talk or you want Mike to talk?
Yeah, I know Mike loves to talk. Let me get up here. Real quick too. So I had a question. We have our e-waste event coming up.
I saw that.
On the 30th. We collected 6,000 pounds in August. So we're looking to top that. But if we do it again, would we need a permit, and would that work at the Publix or the shopping plaza? So just questions to throw out there.
It'd be a town event, right? So we don't need a permit.
But it's not on public land. It's on private land. So just to see if that would be in.
That ordinance isn't effective, so
No, well, yeah, we're good, 2 weeks, we're good. You can't get your.
Do you have
second reading.
amplified music?
Yeah, no, we will not have music, the sweet music of e-waste being recycled.
E-waste. Now, what month again? So it's the end of this month, Vinny?
So, yeah, the end of this month. We
For the
wanted to do it
YouTubers
right
out
when
there?
school ends, so that people, if they're gonna go upgrade or whatever.
School ends next week.
I know, so it's the week after. We didn't
School
want to
ended
do it.
today at Holy
We didn't want to
Trinity.
do Memorial Weekend. So there's that. Second off, I just wanted to thank you all. I presented about the town swale program to Sorrel, the Save Our Indian River Lagoon. They're looking at including some sort of homeowner small grant program in the next 10 years. And I presented on the town's swale program, including, we caught a photo of our very own Joe Gervais digging a swale by hand in a wife beater. It is quite a photo. So if
Mike,
you
Mike,
want,
can you edit that
if you
that
want,
term
you
out,
should
please?
definitely catch the YouTube replay of that. But anyways, I publicly thank you for your support, Mike and Joe's support. And I can't tell you how many comments I've gotten from other municipalities going, can you come present to ours about what you guys do? So I always say we're the little town that punches way above its weight. So thank you all always for your support. What tonight's about, Paul Gugelman, who actually wrote the original commercial ordinance, also wrote one for public lands, and we just never got around to bringing it forward. So again, if we're going to be asking commercial new development to live by a standard, we just felt it would be appropriate to have public lands do the same thing, which is a 75% Florida native. That's it.
It did go before. It did go before zoning and planning, that's why it ended. They turned it down, so it never went before council, because we couldn't pass zoning and planning.
Interesting.
I wasn't there to present on it, but I will be this time. No, I'm joking. But we would love to have that again. The commercial one is there, and as you guys have seen, Publix and ABC were both built after that, and they look great. And I don't know if you've noticed. Starbucks too, and if you've noticed since the freeze, they still look good. And again, that's a lot of those Florida natives that are way more robust and resilient.
I guess my question, 75% including ground cover needs to be native. That seems awfully restrictive, and you know I like your cause. But, I mean, is every new construction now going to look like a Florida native weed yard?
Well, while I do personally have a cause, this is the town. So it really has to do with watering, and it has to do with resiliency. And so I'm going to tell you what, I'm an efficient guy. I run my coffee runner, or my drip coffee twice, because I want to get out as much as I can. And I think ordinances like these help the private owners and help the town use less water. I don't know if anyone has seen our solar rain barrel that Joe set up, again, getting lots of calls from other municipalities. But these type of plants require less water. They look better depending on what's going on. And so it would require us to do the same thing that we require commercial. And again, Publix, Starbucks, and ABC have both used this. And I would say that they don't look like, if you said which one of these three businesses was Florida native, I don't think anybody would say all of them.
I will say, we're not doing ground covering like grass. They're allowed to use grass still in the commercial. 75% of their plants or trees.
Or shrubs.
Yeah, this says including ground cover, grasses, vines,
I think we
shrubs.
still have some erosion control issues where there are those ordinances written in about having the area by the road and sidewalks that are resistant to erosion.
St. Augustine is native, right?
No. It was created.
It's in the name.
It was created in a lab. St. Augustine grows horizontally. That's why it's so cheap and used so often, is because you can put down one square and the roots grow outward, not down.
That is true.
which is why when it rains, it's hard for water to get through it.
Yeah.
tight.
So this is saying every new house can't have,
No, this is public.
oh, public.
This is
Oh,
not.
disregard.
Public, we're doing it already.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
haven't codified it, but we do that on, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you here.
Yeah, this is just public land.
We've been doing
just
that,
our
that's why I
land.
pushed with the median, like, originally council had like 25% native, I'm like, we should at least meet what we're telling the businesses to do. And then we've been doing that in our parks and everything, we're
Yeah, yeah.
replacing stuff.
I was thinking it was houses.
The public, yeah.
Yeah.
I was misunderstanding you too, I think you're talking about houses,
Oh, no.
residences.
No,
Yeah.
just pub. I know we started talking about the swales in the photo of Joe, and
Okay.
just threw everything for a whack.
I
This
have-
is just public lands.
I have far less reservations now, so. Is there, what do you need? Do we need to,
Just to let us know whether or not you want us to move forward, and then we can go ahead and present to zoning and planning again, see what they think, and then bring it back to you guys with the ordinance.
Okay.
And Matt's good handiwork, which he's been overtime
Yeah.
tonight.
building up college tuition for his kid?
See your
Yeah,
kids in 3 years.
exactly.
You guys good with it?
I'm good with it.
There you go.
Make it so. Oh,
Yeah.
I did not attend the meeting then? Mike, do you
Why didn't
remember?
it pass? They were worried about the expenses for the homeowners, and they're asking all kinds of questions, like we talked about having,
so this is, yeah, so this is just, now this one is just for the town land.
this is for the
Commercial,
town, yeah.
right,
Unless it
okay.
goes zoning and planning, because it's a zoning ordinance.
All right, there you go, Vinny.
Cool, thanks.
Thank you.
They won't have a problem with the town spending money.
Check out that photo, go to the YouTube page, Save Our Indian
right,
River
all
Lagoon.
right.
Check out Joe and the wife beater.
New business, discuss allowing local zoning and planning board to explore allowing static electronic signs in zone CH. Carrie.
Thank you. I would respectfully request that we approve zoning and planning to take a look at the zone CH for a static electronic sign. I really did, since there was no discussion, we didn't, I feel like I didn't even get a fair shot, and I didn't get to hear anybody's opinions. And so I would like zoning and planning, if they recommend that this is something that we should discuss, I would be satisfied with whatever decision that they would make. So I would like to make a motion for us to send this to zoning and planning for their review.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Doug, any comments?
No, I guess, do we want to provide any guidance, Carrie? You looking for input from the council at large, or just I'm just asking, because as you pointed out.
Well, since it's only one zone, I think we all know who it's for.
Yeah.
I think the reasoning behind it stands on its own.
Yeah. I didn't know if there was any consideration for what, and maybe it doesn't matter, because it would have to come to us eventually anyways as an ordinance change.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, it doesn't matter what our input is now necessarily, because zoning and planning would make a recommendation to the town council to then implement it in the ordinance and the zoning.
Correct, and based on last month, I think it would be improper for any discussion now, so I just think it's more appropriate to let zoning and planning have their discussion about it, and then if they recommend yes, then we could discuss it then. So, and if it dies there, it dies there, and if it doesn't, then, we can discuss it again.
Okay.
So would they come to us then with their recommendations?
They would make a recommendation, yay or nay, and if it's nay, then,
Yeah, zoning doesn't have any authority, they can just recommend.
Even if they say nay, technically, it can still come to us, but yes, fair enough.
Right.
right, but it's,
And-
it's happened, but it's rare that,
Right.
council goes against zoning and planning breaks that. I just want a fair shot, because I made a commitment to the church that I would run it up the flagpole, and I was kind of caught barefooted. I expected some discussion, so I was disappointed that I didn't get it, but I would like another opportunity for zoning and planning to weigh in their opinion.
Understand and
okay.
agree.
Yeah, I'm good. Dick, did you want to talk about this? We're going to send it to zoning.
Dick Dunn. I support Councilmember Foy's views and comments for allowing Zoning and Planning Board to explore a static electronic sign in Zone CH. Thank you.
Well said, Dick. Matt, just for clarification, static electronic is different than changeable electronic.
Yes.
Well said. All right.
My syllable, that was good.
Yeah. Talked out.
You mean more, can you summarize that?
All right. That is pretty much it. Administrative reports.
Do we need public comment or anything for that?
That was Dick. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You want to speak?
Nope.
I mean, if you,
It's usually public comment and then a vote.
well, we don't need to vote, right?
We don't need a vote? Okay.
No, we'll just send it to zoning.
Are we good?
Yeah, if you want to, you're fine.
Okay. Jim Cusick, 106 North Riverside. We're not, if you remember last month, we kind of made it muddy when we talked about a possibility for the city to be using the sign as well for emergencies. We're not going there. We're just going directly to what the church requests. That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, administrative reports. Matt, you got anything?
I would just mention the foreclosure action based on the code enforcement lien, 300 COCO, that is moving forward. Everyone's been served. The time to respond has passed. I have the appropriate affidavit from the town clerk. We are getting the costs together, and I'm going to be petitioning the court for a final judgment. So that might wrap up in the next few months, hopefully. There was a recent, as of May 19th, all municipalities in Florida can no longer prohibit synthetic turf from the front yards. So that is an ordinance we'll need to change. And I think it was mentioned earlier, there was a constitutional challenge to the sound amplification equipment ordinance. And that's it.
Mike?
Real quick, I'm talking to the mayor and deputy mayor the other day, and Councilman Brady. So we will not have a quorum on the June 10th meeting, but we would have it on June 17th. If you all are okay with moving that, we'll have to do the proper advertising and things. Does that sound good to everybody?
I am, yeah, let me go.
It's a Wednesday.
What time?
6 o'clock, we'd still do it.
So June 17th. Yes, as I mentioned, I will, since I'm taking the first half of the month off, I'm on call the second half of the month. So I will be here if I am here.
I will be here.
I will not, sorry.
Yep.
17th. June is bad.
Gary, you're good? Okay, so.
And hopefully Julie will be in better shape by then. We're her mother.
Also, oh,
I know the bug.
now there's a mosquito in here. July, right?
Yep, and the next one was July. We had a conflict in July on the 8th with people being out of town, and I'm actually leaving town the following week. I planned this a year ago after the council meeting, so I was wondering if we could do the July 10th, which would be a Friday. I don't like doing meetings on Fridays, but it would work out. I know for me being on next week, and the mayor will be back in town, and I mentioned to you guys earlier, it'd be at 6 o'clock. We also, that's the same meeting we do our first millage reading announcement. So that July 10th meeting would be the first budget portion, which is part of the regular meeting. It's just part, we're giving the initial millage for y'all to vote on.
July 10th?
I heard there might be refreshments at that meeting, is that
Yeah.
correct? Okay, I'll be there.
I think there needs to be an after party.
Well,
I mean,
What do you want? We'll get it for you.
Gary, are you good with the 10th?
Are we okay with the time limit?
amen. Amen. So moved.
Yeah.
47 minutes.
Okay.
We can start it
I
earlier
think
too
our
if you
record
want.
was 18 minutes for a council meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can start it earlier too.
No, I'll be there.
I'm ready for record breakers.
Yeah, I mean, we can do 5. You want to do 5 on Friday the 10th?
555-666-444. No.
I mean, I can do 3 PM.
I can do earlier. I mean, we can do 5 if you want.
We don't want to cut off the public.
Do you want to do it earlier?
I think 5 is fine.
Yeah,
5 o'clock? Okay. I'm fine with that. The earlier the better.
It's the 10th? Yeah.
Moving the
I
8th
think
to
we
the
do
10th.
only 5 minutes. I was hoping for that.
Yeah.
Moving the
All right, yeah, so that's it?
That's it.
All right.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah, I won't be here. Well, no, I will be here now for June. Disregard, I don't have anything. All right.
maybe.
Yeah, I might be here. Doug?
I'll push it again. A Space Coast Honor Flight. They have 5 or 6 flights this year. You can go to their Space Coast Honor Flight on the web. They've got a website. Obviously, they publish it. It's a great mission. Probably most folks know what it is. They fly vets up in the morning at like 4 o'clock. They do an all day in DC, fly them back that night. All done actually on a Legion airplane. But it's direct out of Melbourne, so it's unique. It started this last fall. My wife and I went to one last September for the first flight. It was fun. It was cool. A lot of public and community out there. We did one in April. The first one this year. They actually had a live band. It was really good, actually. And they were playing all kinds of music. So if they didn't play the song you like the first one, wait 2 or 3 and they get you one. They had free beer. They had food trucks out front. They had all the FIT, a bunch of FIT kids that were just vibing it up big time. It was actually, and it was a lot of people there. It was really cool. Strongly recommend it. There is one this Saturday night. It's the 16th. I don't know exactly what time they land. Typically, it's around 9 o'clock. Check 8:30. 8:30. It does. Not going to talk bad about any airlines, but the last 2 that we went to, they got delayed. Maybe weather was involved. Don't know. But it's a great cause. It definitely makes you proud to be an American, and you can see some veterans, young and old, young being relative to me, and older. So there was actually a World War II veteran, or maybe it was a Korean War veteran on the last flight. It was just really cool. They were very stoked to see us waving flags and cheering. So a very, very special moment. Strongly recommend you attend it if you can. Thank you.
John?
I don't have anything except last month I mentioned pretty nice to see that the town had done spring cleanup for code enforcement issues. Any feedback on any of that? Because I still see some houses that could use some spring cleanup / dumpster.
Went out there, Ollie? I know we had some positive feedback, but.
Okay, I was just
we had
curious
people
because
working on things that were sitting there. Some of them were having problems. You know, a couple houses I know that look horrible. Sometimes I just think it's somebody really elderly living there and things when they've owned it for a while.
The spring cleanup really was not so much as about enforcement as it was making the community aware of the codes. But we do seem to be stepping up the code enforcement a little bit more, and with the idea of the magistrate coming in, we're trying to get more involved in the community to make it look nicer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carrie?
I attended the South Beaches Coalition meeting yesterday, and in preparation for the TPO meeting that's going to be tomorrow, Mayor Steve Osmer will be attending, so I don't need to go. The buzz was about the Space Coast League of Cities presentation about the Melby, the manatee, and Mayor Osmer of Satellite, I did say that I would give him a shout out. They rescued 13 manatees, and they got 0 public
Oh, wow.
attention about
I remember that. It was
Yes.
made the news a little bit, but not like
So
this one.
They got their feelings hurt a little, although I do believe that Melbourne Beach needed some good news and something to be positive about. So I think they maybe solicited some of that positive attention, and good for them for doing it. But I did want to give a shout out to Satellite Beach for rescuing 13 manatees, because that's 12 more than Melbourne Beach did.
Yeah.
So good for them. And I also wanted to give a shout out to Public Works, because we had a whole line of broken down split rail fences, and they have removed them all, so it's cleaner. I walk there every day, and I just want you to know I noticed. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And Chief Connor?
Yes, sir, thank you. 2 things. We have a week from today, the town will be entering into contract negotiations with Coastal Florida PBA. And the second thing, and that's a full contract negotiation. And the second thing is we are moving our consolidated dispatch from here to the Unified Command Center on the 11th of June now instead of the 15th of June, so it did get bumped up a little bit.
Beatings will, or morale will continue as long as beatings, or whatever, what's that saying?
No comment.
Yeah, beatings will continue till morale improves. All right, that's it. Thanks for coming.
Hey, Diego, don't go anywhere a second. So, I would like you to read what the gentleman that spoke, hold on.